Welcome back to Future of Money Official. I'm absolutely pumped to be here with you today because, well, we've put together an explainer that is literally your ultimate playbook for 2026. Look, if you've been tracking the markets lately, you know the landscape is shifting and it's shifting fast. The old days of just blindly chasing pure hype, yeah, those are fading. Today, we're focusing on how you can front-run the absolute most profitable crypto narratives of the year, keeping a laser focus on artificial intelligence and real-world assets. We've dug through a mountain of data, market reports, and project roadmaps to filter out the noise and bring you the pure signal. Okay, let's dive into this because this number right here, this is the whole ballgame. $3 trillion. That is the staggering size of the private equity market. Now, for decades, this massive pool of high-growth wealth generation was practically locked behind velvet ropes. It was exclusively available to the top 1% and those massive venture capital firms. But the foundational shift we're seeing for 2026 is that new crypto infrastructures are finally tearing down those walls. They are preparing to unlock this exact $3 trillion market for everyday retail investors like us. So here is our game plan for today. We'll cover 1. The 2026 crypto landscape, 2. AI meets decentralized ecosystems, 3. The real-world asset boom, 4. Tokenizing the gaming economy, 5. The institutional infrastructure, and finally 6. Managing risks and rewards.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the 2026 crypto landscape, from hype to true infrastructure.
We are officially transitioning from legacy hype into projects that actually deliver tangible, real-world utility. And the absolute bedrock of this shift is tokenization. Think of it as taking traditional money or standard financial instruments and turning them into programmable, instantly transferable tokens on a blockchain. And guys, this isn't just theoretical sandbox stuff anymore. Just look at the groundbreaking pilots we've recently seen from heavyweights like Swift, Chainlink, and UBS. They've successfully connected tokenized funds directly with traditional financial rails. By using Chainlink's CCIP as a bridge, they seamlessly minted and burned assets across different networks. It's absolute proof that traditional banks and blockchains are finally complementing each other, not just competing. Moving right along to Section 2, AI meets decentralized ecosystems, data-driven innovation. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is that if tokenization is the foundation, AI is undeniably the rocket fuel. Take a look at MemeToro, an AI-powered blockchain project over on the BNB chain. Out of their fixed maximum supply of 1.2 billion MT tokens, they've allocated a massive 71% directly to the public presale. They aren't just hoarding the supply for insiders and VCs. Instead, they're placing the vast majority of tokens straight into the hands of the community to really drive long-term ecosystem participation. But here's the kicker. MemeToro is moving way beyond the usual wild speculation you typically see in the meme coin space. They are actually building an audited, AI-powered infrastructure. We're talking about no-code, AI-generated meme coin creation tools, completely decentralized prediction markets, and even AI agent rankings. Plus, their smart contract has been totally audited by CoinSold, which tackles those common security red flags head-on. Basically, they're leveraging AI to inject real practical utility and safety into a sector that has historically lacked both. That brings us to Section 3, the real-world asset boom, unlocking private equity. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we tap into that $3 trillion private equity market we talked about earlier. Platforms like IPO Genie are quite literally breaking down the barriers. Just look at the math here. It shows how aggressively they're incentivizing early adoption. By holding their IPO token, everyday investors get VIP entry into curated private equity deals. So if you invest 10 grand right now, you don't just get the base 68 million tokens, you actually secure a 35% bonus on top of that, netting you over 92 million tokens in total. What does that mean? It creates a massive natural demand loop as users lock up their tokens to secure allocations in these highly sought-after pre-IPO deals.
Of course, all this hype has to be anchored in reality, right? Well, IPO Genie backs it up with hard, institutional-grade data. They are currently tokenizing $500 million in regulated assets. They use AI-powered deal discovery to vet market traction and team strength, meaning they look at actual data, not just social media noise. And arguably most importantly, they have strict KYC and AML protocols, CertiK-verified smart contracts, and they use Fireblocks for custody. It's a compliance-first approach that sidesteps the governance disasters of the past, all while rewarding tokens takers with some pretty massive 32% annual yields.
All right, shifting gears slightly, let's look at Section 4, tokenizing the gaming economy, skill-based rewards. You see, this exact same tokenization revolution is crossing over into digital entertainment. Just compare the old model with the new one. Traditional GameFi heavily relied on chance-based mechanics and, let's be honest, pure speculative hype. It was often a zero-sum game that eventually just collapsed on itself. But then you look at the Tabzi model. Tabzi leverages block DAG scalability to introduce true skill-to-earn mechanics. We're talking about real-time, highly competitive player-versus-player games, things like chess and checkers. Every move is fully validated on-chain for total transparency, so they're rewarding actual player skill rather than just random luck, and it's all backed by a deflationary token model.
And you might be wondering, is there really a market for this? Get this, Topsy's pre-sale is already 53% sold out. This metric proves that when you pivot away from those hype-driven meme mechanics and actually offer real, auditable utility, the market responds in a huge way. Gamers and investors are clearly eager to own digital wins that connect directly into broader financial ecosystems.
Let's move on and see how this builds into Section 5, the institutional infrastructure, scaling the foundation.
So here's the thing. Absolutely none of these incredible applications work without scalable blockchains underneath them. Just take a look at this staggering figure, $2.6 billion. That was the total value locked on the Sui blockchain by late 2025. To put that into perspective, that represents a 10x expansion in less than 2 years. Sui managed to pull off this massive scaling by taking a fundamentally different approach to their tech. They use what's called an object-centric architecture, meaning they treat every single digital asset as a distinct object that can be processed in parallel. The result? Way faster transactions, much lower fees, and a network that simply doesn't grind to a halt when the pressure's on. When you actually trace Sui's exact roadmap, you see precisely how traditional finance is merging with decentralized tech. In February 2026, Sui became the 5th spot ETP crypto asset. That is huge because it means real, heavy-hitting institutional money is flowing in. Then they're launching the USD Sui stablecoin with gasless transfers, which means you don't even need network tokens just to pay for your transaction fees anymore. They're also adding a native Ethereum bridge. And finally, in April, the highly anticipated Mysticetti upgrade drops, totally cementing their institutional-grade reliability. Guys, this is the very bedrock that all these 2026 narratives are built upon.
Finally, we have to talk about Section 6, managing risks and rewards, navigating the volatility.
Let's ground this explainer back in reality for a second. Identifying these profitable narratives, that's really only half the battle. Managing your risk is the rest of the equation. So here are the hard truths you need to keep in mind. The risks in 2026 are very, very real. We're talking about extremely high price volatility. Remember, even incredibly solid assets like Sui have historically seen 82% declines from their all-time highs. You also have to navigate ongoing token unlock schedules, which can cause heavy dilution pressure on your holdings. Then there's the persistent risk of execution delays with unproven early-stage technology, and of course, constantly evolving global regulatory oversight. Proper position sizing and sticking to dollar cost averaging are absolutely essential if you want to survive and thrive here. Which leaves us with this final, crucial question. Are you ready to adapt your portfolio to the new institutionalized crypto landscape? The massive shift from empty hype to true, verifiable, utility-driven, heavily by AI and real-world assets is happening right now. The infrastructure is already in place. The choice of exactly how you position yourself for the future is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I honestly can't wait to dive into our next topic with you right here on Future of Money Official. Until then, keep learning, manage your risk, and stay ahead of the curve.